It's Thursday, 26th of January 2023. In this evening's show, we are joined by Glen from the Total Saints podcast. He'll be helping us preview this Saturday's FA Cup Round 4 clash at St Mary's. We'll also be catching up on the latest news and signings from Bloomfield Road since the last pod. And I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders podcast match preview show. Southampton versus Blackpool in Round 4 of the FA Cup. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Seasiders podcast on a Thursday night. FA Cup special. Southampton of the Premier League versus Blackpool of the Championship. Welcome to Glen from the Total Saints pod. And as I put on our tweet, we are both bottom feeding in our respective divisions. Welcome to the pod, and thanks for coming on.
No worries, mate. Thanks very much for having us on. I think we've got a certain amount in common this season. It's nice to be introduced as a Premier League club. Hopefully we can still be that in a few months.
A nice morale-boosting win against a smaller side and a lower division side. So I'm just getting the reverse psychology in early.
Well, we played a couple of League One sides actually in the Carabao Cup, and that didn't give us the big boost that we hoped it would. We won the games, but it didn't really translate to any great pickup in our league form. So no, you can keep your reverse psychology. We've got our own problems.
Tim, we were knocked out by Barrow, I believe, in the Carabao Cup first round on penalties. So we've been giant killed already ourselves, haven't we?
We've got. To be honest, I've forgotten about that. But we have got a fairly extensive history of losing to really poor. Well, not really poor. That's a bit condescending. Lower league sides and never mind lower league sides, lower non-league sides in the FA Cup. So this, over and above our illustrious 1953 performance, we've never. Well, we had 48, 51, and 53, and I don't think we've got past the fifth round since. And in my extensive and lengthy time supporting Blackpool, I think I've seen us in the fifth round twice in 45 years, and I bet Pete's not far behind me with this. He's probably got another 10 years on me, and I bet we haven't been beyond the fifth round during that time either, have we?
Pete, you need to unmute first. Private chat, everybody can see the private chat message. Put unmute. Clearly,
consummate professional.
No, Tim, I haven't seen any. In fact, it's a bit of a graveyard, the FA Cup, since '53, isn't it?
Yeah, and we went out to Hartlepool last year, was it, in the third round? That was a dreadful game.
It was.
Do you know, ever since we got back up to the first two top divisions, I always remember thinking in 2007, wasn't it? I always remember rubbing my hands together going, yes, we're straight into the third round every year now.
Straight
we're
out.
We're bound to go on a run. We're bound to at least get in the quarterfinals once. Oh, no. That's nothing. Yeah, so Glenn, you'd think Blackpool, everyone, pundits and TV companies alike, they always mention the 53 FA Cup final, the Matthews final, pretty famous. So everyone thinks we've got quite a rich pedigree in the FA Cup. We're actually a bag of shite.
Yeah, Saints have actually not been too bad. We've had a couple of decent runs. Relatively recently, we got to a semi-final during the COVID year where we played Leicester. Well, I say we played. We turned up. They played. We didn't do anything and lost 1-0 in front of about 12 people at Wembley. And it was not great, but we've done relatively okay in cup competitions recently, and obviously this game on Saturday is sandwiched in between the Carabao Cup semi-finals, where we're playing Saudi Arabia United, and trying. And we lost 1-0 yesterday, so we're when was it? Tuesday. Lost 1-0 on Tuesday, so we'll be trying to get that back next Tuesday. So I think that game's going to actually be quite significant.
Well, fingers crossed. All eyes are on. Yeah, fingers crossed. All eyes are on that. Yeah.
Yeah. What team we pick tomorrow? Be on the Saturday will be interesting.
Well, you'll be glad to know, Glenn, that Blackpool have pedigree for winning the FA Cup in coronation years. So. So that's if there's ever an omen,
that's even more of a reach than that Spurs when the year ends in 1, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You actually beat us in the year you won in '76.
Yes. Yeah,
you beat us en route actually.
Yes,
a bit before my time, but I don't know if Pete remembers anything about that.
No, I'm too bloody. No, I don't.
It's 76.
76.
I think we lost 2-0. I think.
I remember the only FA Cup game that really stands in my memory is when we played Arsenal back in when George Wood was in goal. And I think we had 2 replays. I think we drew at home.
Right. Anyway, let's get back on. Let's get back
sorry.
on track. We're not reminiscing about Blackpool and Arsenal for the Southampton the FA Cup. So, Glenn.
Yes.
Total Saints podcast. So tell us how you got involved in that, how long you've supported the Saints for, and why you're a Southampton supporter.
Born in the city, quite simply. And my dad was a fan. It still is. So I started going with my dad in the first game I ever went to was, funnily enough, at Fratton Park to watch Pompey play Saints, and we won that game 1-0. And then a couple of weeks later, we just won the semi-final to get to the FA Cup final. So I was like 7 years old, and we won the FA Cup. So I thought, this football supporting lark's easy, and we're going to win it. We're going to win a trophy every year. Still waiting. So,
well, what a great first game, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So we won at Fratton Park. I didn't go to the final. Couldn't get a ticket in '76, but I went to it's now the Community Shield, was the Charity Shield back then, and we lost to a Liverpool team that contained Keegan and Toshak and all that lot. So it was
wow.
Yeah, it was a good introduction, and it wasn't until my third game that I saw us play at the Dell. So so I've had a season ticket since the sort of early '80s, really, but I've been going pretty regularly since the late '70s.
Excellent. It sounds like a better game than my first ever game, which was a 0-0 home ball draw against Gillingham in the 4th division.
It's a known stat, actually, that every Blackpool fan's first ever game was a 0-0 draw, because mine was. Yours wasn't? No,
mine was the 3-4 Chelsea game, wasn't it?
Oh, right. Oh, gosh, yeah. Anyway, Glenn, so tell us a little bit about the Total Saints podcast and how you got involved in that.
My sort of foray into the world of social media, if you like, I was working in Ireland, and I needed something to do to stop myself just spending all evening in the pub. So I started writing blogs of every game, basically match reports and taking the piss, and writing them in my own style. And I did that for a number of years, and then the Total Saints podcast started. And I wasn't involved in it initially, and then someone left, and I got asked to do it, basically on the strength of the blogs that I wrote, and I've been a regular on there now for do you know what, I don't know, I would guess about 3 years now, 2.5, 3 years.
Sounds a bit like we've got but it's Mitch. He writes a blog called Mitch Cooks. I thought he's called Matt. In fact, he's not on tonight, but we all refer to him as Mitch, and that's how he got his invite into this fold. And he writes very good sweary blogs.
That's exactly the same as me. So mine's I do a plug. So mine's called League One -10, and I started it, as the name suggests, when we got relegated down to League One, and we ended up with starting with -10 because financial irregularities, or no, not financial irregularities. We just went bankrupt, basically. So I kind of thought, well, the only way is up now. So we started off League One -10 points, And and here we are, and we haven't had a relegation yet since I've been writing about it. So again, something else that might be rectified in the next few months.
Oh, records there to be broken, so they say.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Nathan Jones, a manager we all know quite well from the Championship. Did very well at Luton on a stretched budget, a bit like Blackpool. So obviously Southampton have taken note of his good work down in the Championship. How's he been getting on for Southampton? Obviously, league position aside, and how well is he regarded amongst the fan base?
It's interesting because we recently had a week where we actually won 3 games in a row. We beat Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, beat Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, and then won at Everton. And I know everyone wins at Everton at the moment. Up until that point, I think most people would have driven him back to Luton quite happily straight away, because we had a particularly dismal game against Nottingham Forest where we basically smashed the ball up in the floodlights for 95 minutes and wondered why it didn't work. So it wasn't the best football. We've started to play a bit of football now. Jones seems to have some weird and wacky ideas about things, and his press conferences are always interesting. There always seems to be an own goal in there somewhere in the things that he says. But I feel that we are getting slightly better. But one thing that isn't Nathan Jones's fault is the fact that we have no striker who can stick a ball in the net at Premier League level. And it wouldn't matter if we had Pep Guardiola in charge; that would still be the case. So, and we've all known this since the start of the season, since the summer transfer window, and here we are 3 days or 4 days from the end of this transfer window, and we still haven't got anyone. So, if we don't get anyone, I think Nathan Jones has certainly got his hands full trying to keep us up.
So, just focusing on Saturday now. I mean, we're both in a relegation battle in our respective divisions. Obviously, we've got a new manager, and we're going to have to see how he approaches Saturday. But how do you think Saints are going to approach it? Do you think they're going to go full strength side, or do you think they're going to play a blended side, or basically put out second team and keep the main players back for what might be perceived to be a more important job of trying to keep yourself in the division?
We haven't got enough senior players to sort of change all 11 and for it not to be a team of kids, if that makes sense. So I think it'll be mix and match. Ward-Prowse will play because he plays every game. He's an absolute machine. But I think there may be a couple of, a few fringe players in there, the likes of Joe Aribo, have not been getting a game recently. Willie Caballero possibly will play in goal. There may be 1 or 2 youngsters in there because, we always bang on about having a pathway through to the first team for the youngsters. And we haven't really demonstrated that this season so far. So apart from the youngsters that we've signed from other clubs. So there's been an issue with a lad called Jimmy J Morgan this week, who's refused to sign a professional contract because he wants to play football. So this would be an ideal game for him to play in. But whether Nathan Jones feels like he can risk it with the results that we've been getting since he's been there, then I don't know. So I don't think it'll be a full strength side. I think we will save some players back for Newcastle, but.
Don't be scared to play the kids. Watford did, and they destroyed us. So,
yeah, but you hammered someone in the last round.
Yeah, no. This is Watford was in the league, but they were basically had 17 players out, so they had to play the kids, and we still got beat. So,
So, if you go to play an understrength side, how do you feel about that as being a Southampton fan, that the FA Cup's kind of downgraded with the way modern football is going, particularly in the Premier League? You see a lot of Premier League side fielding reserve side, academy players, second string side. So it's a strange thing, isn't it? When the FA Cup traditionally was pretty much the big prize to win.
Yes, it was, and it certainly was. I mean, I've been. I've given my age away already, so I'm sort of 54, and I can see I've seen over time the importance of it sort of fade away. I think if we were already out of the Carabao Cup, then we would certainly be more or less full strength for this game. But as we got the game on Tuesday, sort of just 3 days afterwards, I do think we'll rest a few. To be honest, and without being patronising, we should be able to rest one or two and win a home game against Blackpool. But it's whether Jones wants to risk that, and I think he'll be having a few sleepless nights wondering what to put out there. But yeah, it does disappoint me a little bit that you can't go at every single game. But I think if you go back sort of 20, 30 years back to when the FA Cup was really important, I think the game has certainly got a lot quicker. It seems to be a lot harder on the players these days, and you can't play. There's a very few players who can play sort of 50 games a season without having any sort of break. So it doesn't surprise me, but it is a bit disappointing on one hand.
So you obviously you've spoken about Nathan Jones coming in, and he's sort of generally known for playing a quite pragmatic style.
Yeah.
How are you likely to set up, and is that a change? Has he changed the way that you do during his tenure?
He has. He favours three at the back basically, and there's not a lot of subtlety in the way that we play. Like I said, we had the one game against Nottingham Forest where we just launched the ball long constantly, and that was horrific. We do play a bit of football, depending on what side we pick. We can play the ball through midfield. Our problems all come at the top end of the pitch, and as I say, I don't think Jones can sort that out without new players. However, he does seem to overthink things at times. We play sort of a back three with wing backs when we haven't got the ball, and when we have got the ball, he tries to switch it to a four at the back, and so there's always one winger who's playing as a winger, but he's also being asked to play as a wing back as well. So, and you can tell with some of the players haven't quite mastered where they should be on the pitch, and you quite often see Jones jumping up and down like an angry child because someone is not doing what he obviously wants them to do. And I get the impression straight away that whatever winger's on his side of the pitch probably doesn't want to be there. They probably want to be over the other side, so he can't go nuts at them. So it's not the best style of football, but this season he just has to get results. It's all about results. In the league anyway, and so far in the league he hasn't got any. 5 defeats out of 6. So Saturday is a bit of a, it's a bit of a break from the pressures of the league, but I don't expect we'll be playing a lot of football, and as your centre halves will be heading the ball quite a lot.
Are you expecting to have a crowd? Are you expecting? It's obviously quite cheap to go.
Yeah, usually for these sort of games we get about 25,000. So
we get half of that. Do we get 50%? Yeah. No, get in.
No, we got criticised as a club a few years ago because the prices were never realistic for, it's an extra game that people have got to pay for. And when you're playing a team from the Championship or League One, they always got the pricing wrong, but they're getting it right now. And I can't remember.
£15 I paid.
Yeah, I think it's 15. I think mine was 15 quid, and my son's ticket, he's 18, was £5. So, it's certainly a good game for, someone to bring the kids along, sort of thing. And mind you, it could probably be classed as child abuse with the way we've been playing this season. But
I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be about 10 or 15,000 there. So.
No, I think
25 there's quite
well. It depends how many you guys bring down as well.
Yeah, I think we had sold about 11. Was it 11? Oh, this was yesterday or the day before, about 1,100 tickets. But I think it's pay on the. So that suggests that there's going to be. Yeah. But some of us get out of our armchairs, John, and get themselves down there.
Saturday morning coach, Tim. I keep telling you. I'm inspiring the next generation at Cotton Hall.
Yeah, I might be being a bit optimistic with 25, but there'll certainly be more than 20.
I think we might have 1,500 there.
Yeah.
I would have thought, which I think
that would be a great turnout.
It's a bit of a banana skin for Jones, though, isn't it? Because, like you say, he's had that bad run, and now he's got Blackpool. He's probably not fancying. He probably thinks they're going to win, but it's it's not a given. And then you've got the Carabao Cup next week again, and if you lose that,
I think he's
it's going to put the pressure right. So he needs to win tomorrow, really.
Yeah, I think he does. He's just about keeping his head above water with the majority of Saints fans at the moment. But if we do get beat by Blackpool, it will be used as a stick to hit him with. But that's how football goes, isn't it? I mean, if you offered us now lose to Blackpool, turn around the game against Newcastle and get to the final, people would take that.
Yeah,
we'll shake on that as well, Glenn. Okay, we'll give you that deal.
Absolutely, yeah. If you could have a word with Eddie Howe, that'd be nice.
Okay, back to the game. The subject of dangermen we may have touched on. So,
we ain't got any.
Of the players you kind of expect may start, who do we need to look out for?
Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse will almost certainly play because he very, very rarely misses a game, regardless of whoever we're playing against. All those games against League One teams in the Carabao Cup, he played in all of those. So he will almost certainly play. He's our biggest goal threat. If you give us a free kick around the edge of the box, his accuracy is ridiculous. So that's a problem. We do have strikers in Che Adams and Adam Armstrong who have, championship is their level in terms of actually sticking the ball in the net. So they could be a threat in this game. I'm hoping we play at least one of the youngsters. We've got two lads in the B team who score goals for fun at that level. Jimmy J. Morgan and Dominic Ballard. So either of those might start. And we signed Joe Aribo from Rangers, and he hasn't been playing in the league games. He didn't play in the Carabao Cup games, so he's a kind of attacking midfielder. We're still trying to find his best role, I think.
There you go. Matthew Warren has just asked that. What about him?
He's got a lot of skill, but he is incredibly laid back. So I'm not sure he's a Nathan Jones player, because he's not hammering all over the field trying to make things happen, which is the sort of player that Nathan Jones seems to like. So I'm not surprised Joe Aribo has kind of gone down the pecking order a little bit, but I fully expect him to play on Saturday, and he's probably the best, apart from Ward-Prowse, he's probably the best finisher we've got at the club. But it's just whether he can shake off his the lethargy he seems to have to actually get himself in the right position. But the ability's there. It's just a case of whether he can shake himself up to do it.
I've got a question now. It's not just for you, actually. It's for everybody on the pod. Apparently, we've played each other 6 times in FA Cup. And we want your best guess as to what the stats are on how many you've won against how many we've won. We've given you a little bit of a clue, haven't we, with a couple of them already?
Well, I remember the last one. That was when you were Premier League and we were League One, and we won 2-0 at St Mary's. So I remember that one. You had Holloway in charge, and you had a right whinge afterwards.
We had a right whinge as well about the team he put out.
Yeah. So we obviously won in 76, or the run in 76. We won that one. So I'll say we've won 4 and lost 2.
Bang on the money. Well,
is it really?
Well done, that man. Round of applause for that. Yeah. 4-2. So it's going to be 5-2 or 4-3. It's kind of a 6-pointer for us in terms of.
Going back, that's exactly what we did in 2011, beginning of 2011, wasn't it? Exactly. When Holloway went down there and played a whole second team.
It did.
And we took. I think we took a few fans down. Everybody was really cheesed off that we didn't take it seriously, and it's Holloway just had this attitude about the FA Cup that we just weren't even bothered about it, which
I
always want us to have a run.
Yeah. Did you stay up at the end of that season?
No.
No.
So we went down with the highest number of points for any team that's been relegated since, I think.
39 points.
39 points we got.
Oh, we'd kill to get to 39 this year, I tell you.
Well, and every other year since, 39's kept me up.
It's
Yeah.
typical.
Yeah, it's typical Blackpool.
So were you at that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember that. We had a Brazilian guy who we signed, Guly de Prado, who scored a really good goal in that game. But yeah, I do remember going to that game, and we'd had a bit of back and forth with Holloway. Prior to that, I think with one of his previous clubs. So there was, we didn't really like him much. So to hear him get all bitter and twisted about us, I think it was Premier League, you're having a laugh. He wasn't very happy about that at all. But as you say, he put out what amounted to a reserve team that day. So, he's taken a gamble and he's lost horribly. And at least stick your hand up and just acknowledge that it's, your gamble hasn't worked.
Yeah, his fault.
Yeah, I mean, if you probably had 2,000 fans travel down for that, and that's where it's not good. And I think that's what managers lose sight of sometimes. It's okay to change 3 or 4 players, but if you change all 11, then you're shortchanging the fans in my book.
He did it next time we got to the FA Cup 5th round against Everton.
He did it against Everton. We got the 5th round and he did it.
We got to the 5th round for the first time since. Yeah, he did it against Villa away in the Premier League.
Saving players for West Ham on the Saturday, thinking he could win that one.
We lost
them. Well, we didn't lose to West Ham. We drew, didn't we? But we lost to Villa as a result.
Villa. Yeah, lost to Everton.
And Villa were around on a mare at the time as well.
Alfonso scored, didn't he, against us?
That's right. Yeah. Glenn, you mentioned that previous game, obviously the FA Cup game. I just looked down the list of players. Jason Punch and Ricky Lambert and Brett Ormerod both represented both sides at one time.
Oh, yeah.
Or another. Brett Ormerod is a living legend up in Blackpool. And I believe he's got a very well thought of in Southampton, particularly for that cup final. Was it a cup final goal he scored at the Millennium?
Cup semi-final.
Semi-final, sorry. Millennium, wasn't it? Semi-final, that's right.
Yeah.
So how well regarded is Brett down in Southampton?
Brett was one of those players that was he really came to the fore when Gordon Strachan was our manager, and he was never prolific at Premier League level, but he got the sort of best out of. He was an ideal strike partner for James Beattie, who we had at the time, and James Beattie would score. Ormerod would make a right pest of himself, and James Beattie would be there to smash the ball in the net. So, Brett was 100% effort all game. I think he would probably admit that playing in the Premier League was probably a bit too much of a stretch for him. But he worked incredibly hard, and as a result, he was well thought of. And I think we're quite a fair bunch. I think as long as you give 100% effort, if we get beat, we get beat. We've always been the sort of side that when we've been in the top league, we've always lost plenty of games. I think people can handle that. It's when don't be a big time Charlie, basically, and Brett certainly wasn't that. He was a good lad and well thought of, and I think he's still well thought of now by people who can remember his time there.
I can say that James Beattie isn't particularly well thought of at Blackpool, by the way.
Why is that then?
He joined us just second half of the Premier League year, and Holloway played him and Andy Reid, who we brought in as well, and dropped all the old guard, and we went on the most horrendously bad run. Did Beattie ever actually score for us?
Shape. No, both out of shape, both unfit.
I'd forgotten he played
both commanding a big wage.
Yeah.
Came in on mega money.
Jason Punchin, Glenn. Now he was a funny one for you. He was classed as a bit of a problem player, and we signed him on loan, which is bizarre because you were League One at the time. We're in the Premier League. We signed Jason Punch from League One. He was brilliant for us. He did really well.
Yeah, he was a strange player because we signed him from MK Dons, I think, and he played for us in League One. And we had a youngster came through who you've all heard of, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who was 16 at the time, and he took Punchin's place in the team. So Punchin's toys went right out the pram, and we loaned him out. And in the time he was loaned out, we ended up in the Premier League, and he came back, and everyone thought, what on earth is this guy back for? And he actually did pretty well. You know, he managed to get himself in the team, and he did pretty well. But he's most famous at Saints for, in Mauricio Pochettino's first ever game, he had to nip off for a dump halfway through the second half. I don't know if you remember that footage. He just disappeared from the pitch, and no one knew what it was. And
when you've got to go, you've got to go, though.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah,
doing Gary Lineker,
and it was he
shut himself on the pitch, didn't he?
Yeah, but when he came back on, the sort of obviously word got out. Someone had obviously said something off the bench, because within about 5 minutes it was like he shits where he wants. So it was a bizarre incident, and most people most Saints fans, when they think of Jason Puncham, will think about that. But he did score some good goals for us, and he
played. Did not play. Was he in the 5th round at Everton when
he scored him? Yeah,
he did. Yeah. I loved that. I was really gutted when we didn't sign him, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
He was an exciting player, wasn't
he? He was. Okay, a couple more questions, Glenn, before we wrap this up. Matt Le Tissiers, I've entitled this.
Oh my word!
So Matt Le Tissiers, we know, is Southampton's most famous son. God, I believe he's called.
Le God, yes,
yeah,
indeed.
He's just gone a bit mental recently, hasn't he? Has that kind of sullied his godlike status a bit at St Mary's?
At St Mary's, I think it probably has, because he was an ambassador, working for the club in an ambassadorial capacity, and I think he politely got asked to leave. He made some, well, you all know the stories. He put some crazy tweets out about various conspiracy theories, and one of them was about Anne Frank, of all things. And I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, really. And everyone just went, nah, that's enough of that. So he moved on from being a club ambassador. And it's quite difficult for, he's exactly the same age as me. And so I watched his entire career. And I've met him 4 or 5 times, various different things. Most recently played cricket against him about 2-3 years ago. And every time I've met him, he's been nothing but absolutely top bloke. Happy to talk about football, happy to give time to anybody. We were taking the mick, playing cricket all the time, and he was great. But and he's still doing it. He's still doubling down on these this conspiracy stuff. And it's a shame. But I think most Saints fans kind of try and sort of separate the lunacy from what he was as a player. And I think it's
taking a leaf out of Thingy Eichmann's book. Is he? Was it
David Icke? Yeah,
Eichmann.
I don't think it's as bad as him, Tim.
Yeah, not quite as bad as that. He hasn't set up his own religion yet, or whatever it was. David Icke did, but yeah, for a while. I think now people have kind of got used to it, and if they don't want to pay attention, they just ignore it. I think for a while it was a case of, every time he put something on Twitter, you were like, oh my word, what's he said now? And sometimes it's a relief when he actually talks about football. Like he put a tweet out about,
what a player!
He was a great player.
Oh, he's an unbelievable player, and that's
he didn't play enough for England, did he?
No.
I went to a game. You were playing. This is when Blackburn, the year Blackburn won the league. Blackpool was struggling at the time, so our firm ended up doing some sponsorship at Blackburn before I bought the business. Got involved and bought the business. So I went along to a few games. One to take some clients. One of the games I went to was you playing Blackburn, and it was Sheeran Sutton up front, and you had Le Tissiers, and Le Tissiers scored the goal of the season and the runner-up in the goal of the season in that match, and you lost 3-2. Shearer got a hat-trick, and it's one of the best ever Premier League games I've ever watched. It was absolute quality.
And that was around 1994. So for 2 or 3 seasons, around sort of 93, 94, 95, he was absolutely unbelievable. And how Terry Venables and then Glenn Hoddle couldn't sort of find a place for him regularly in the England side is is it used to make me angry at the time, but you see the way football goes with the sort of favoritism, if you like, towards the sort of mega clubs, the Super League clubs, as I call them. It's not surprising it happened, and I mean,
he could have played for anybody, couldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody, United at the time.
Yeah.
Whoever,
Well,
Newcastle, Liverpool, top teams.
He nearly joined Spurs at one point, apparently, and Chelsea were always interested because the guy who used to own them, Matthew Harding, was a huge fan. So, but he never did. And if you listen to him talking about his career now, he has absolutely no regrets about what he did. He was happy where he was, and he achieved what he set out to achieve in the game, which was to just play in the top league and play for England. Now, and I think he's a slightly contrary character, as has been proved by all the stuff he's been putting on Twitter now, and so I have no reason to doubt what he says when he says he's happy with what he achieved in the game.
I always thought Glenn Hoddle would have given him more of a crack at the England job, because playing for England, because they're very similar type of players, weren't they? Languid styles, more relaxed, and heavily based on skill.
Glenn Hoddle was interesting because, of course, he became Saints manager after the England thing and the Eileen Drury thing.
Eileen Drury, yeah.
So we kind of resurrected Glenn Hoddle's career a little bit by giving him the job, and so I bet Matt was delighted when Glenn Hoddle turned up at Saints. But when Hoddle was the England manager, he still had Gascoigne. I know he left him out in '98, and could you get Gascoigne and Le Tissiers in the same team? I think it's a shame they never tried.
That was the reason, wasn't it? At the end of the day.
But
he did,
I mean,
he did play a bit in '96, didn't he? If I remember rightly. Playing in the Euro, because I went to all those games, but he didn't
play in the Euros.
Did he not at all?
No, Le Tissiers didn't get picked for the Euros squad. Yeah, it was Gaza, and it was
Darren Anderton.
It was really either going to be Le Tissiers or Sheringham, and they went with Sheringham in the end. And by the time '98 came along, Paul Scholes had emerged, and he was playing sort of as a number 10, if you like, in '98. So Matt missed the boat, but there you go. If he's happy and he's not bitter about it, then who are we to second guess, really?
I always remember on Fantasy Football League when he was on it, and a Portsmouth fan one of the fans just going, "Scoma, Scoma, Scoma, Scoma." It's just doing that for like about a minute non-stop. Matt Le Tissiers going, "Music." We
should have had him on the bench to bring on for when we kept having all these penalty shootouts that we kept losing, because he could take a penalty, could Matt, couldn't he?
Oh, he certainly could. I think it was 49 out of 50. And the one record. And I remember being in the ground when he missed the one, and it was just like I couldn't believe it, and I don't think he could believe it either, because the rebound came straight back to him and he launched it over the bar. But no, he was an unbelievable penalty taker, and we've been lucky with the penalty takers we've had over the years, because James Beattie never missed, Ricky Lambert never missed, and Ward-Prowse is better at free kicks than penalties. So
Ricky Lambert ex-Blackpool as well. That's one that we let go. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to match predictions just before we let you head off, Glenn. So Glenn, as you are the guest,
okay,
give us your match prediction.
I think it'll be quite close, because we're not capable of scoring lots of goals against anybody. So I do think it will be quite close. I will say a narrow 2-1 win for Saints.
Let's go around the room. Pete?
I think it's going to be 1-1 and a replay, sadly, back at Bloomfield Road.
Who's going to win the replay?
Oh, I don't know that. You didn't
you've got to go full circle.
I think if we get them at home, we'll
they'll definitely play kids then.
They'll definitely play kids on penalties.
Tim?
Well, I'm travelling, as I said before, I'm travelling all the way down there, so we're definitely going to lose. I'm going 3-1, more confidently. I think you'll bring some kids in and you'll score goals.
I'm with Pete. Actually, I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be 1-1. Big Mick's first game, though. Let's not forget that. Got that big unit at centre half.
What do
Charlie Goode, don't
what,
we?
so what did you make? I know it was Michael Appleton before, who was a former Portsmouth manager. So what did you make of was it the right thing for Appleton to go? Happy with McCarthy coming in?
Yes and yes, I think. We'll see how it goes with McCarthy, but definitely happy Appleton went in the end, but there's reasons and stuff that he went. So
yeah. I think we'd kept it, would have gone down with Appleton without shadow of a doubt. Obviously, our first game under Mick got postponed, which we're going to go on to talk about later. So we've not, it'd be interesting to see how he plays it. I mean, we've spoken about it being a free hit on Saturday, and that he can maybe try and work on how he wants to play. We've got some incredibly important games coming up in Feb, but it's an opportunity for him to have a good look at everybody and try and bed in some of it, because we've got quite a few new players and it's a chance to bed them in. But we do need game time, because with last week being called off, we need to get we brought Bowler in and we need to get him up and running. We need to get him match fit. We need to get Rodgers match fit. And we've got some new players. So I think Mick will go for it, to be fair. And, there is a bit of reverse psychology in my score prediction. But if I predict us to win, we will definitely lose. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I wouldn't be going if I didn't think we had a chance, and I didn't think that it was going to be worthwhile. So, I think it'll be a good game. Hopefully, it'll be one that's worth paying you 15 quid for, because price is right. Just let's make it an entertaining game, whatever happens.
So we've got a few comments coming in. Dennis Stoichkov, 1-1. Matthew Warrender, 3-1 to Blackpool. A view from the wing, 2-2. Any more before we go? Right, I think that was the comments. Okay, Glenn, we'll move on to a very Blackpool-specific section of the show next. We'll let you go and just say thanks ever so much for coming on. Give us your insight into Southampton, and good luck for the rest of the season. Apart from yesterday. Apart from tomorrow, sorry.
Tomorrow, Saturday.
What happened yesterday?
That's one, Wayne, right?
This isn't going out live, Ben.
It's that COVID jab I've had.
Some of you guys have a safe trip down, Tim, and hope it all goes well for you the rest of the season in the league.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, Glenn. See you later, mate. Bye. Let's change the view and move on now to our starting 11. So we're going to pick our team that's going to take on Southampton. Now, formation. It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Not 5. I don't think we're going to play 5 at the back.
What do we want to play then? What do we think's best?
We've got the players to play 5 at the back, but where does it leave? It's a real difficult one, this. This is the big problem for me. That we've had Appleton, he didn't have the players, then he gets the players for 4-3-3, and then we get rid of Appleton and we've got a bloke who doesn't tend to play 4-3-3.
But he has done.
He has he?
He has. I think he said. I think he's played it at Wolves. I think.
Has he? I think. I mean, he's not. He's no idiot, is he? He's gonna see the team and he'll pick the team around the players. I think he's got to.
Someone help us out in the comments. What do we think? Formations.
I have no idea.
I think David Jenkins 4-2-3-1 is.
Yeah.
I almost wonder whether he'll try the 4-3-3 on Saturday to see how it works before deciding whether to adopt a more give the midfield more protection, or the defence more protection, I should say.
4-4-2. David Wally says with Big Mick. Maybe keep it simple. 4-4-2 first game.
It's an option, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's It's usually dead easy, this, isn't it? This is really until we know what he's done. You know, who knows?
I think we should go 4-4-2. Just keep it simple, maybe for the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right, keeper, goalkeeper, Grimmy. Got to be Grimmy.
Grimmy, but it won't be. It'll be Maxwell. But Grimmy.
We're having Grimmy though.
Yeah,
we're having Grimmy. Right back. Picks itself, doesn't it?
Lions, I think.
Pete.
Again, I think he'll go Connolly, but I want Lions in.
Remember, this is our team.
Yeah,
Lions gets my vote. Left back, Tim.
Hubby.
Yep, Hubby.
Agreed. Centre halves. I have inserted our new signing.
Yeah, I think he'll start. I think he'll start, definitely.
Yeah, good.
I want him to. I want to see him anyway. So,
do you want him in, Pete?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't got any many options, have we, other than that?
No, is he left or right side? Does anyone know?
Right, I think.
We'll stick him on the right because we've got Thornley on the left.
Thornley on the left. I mean, there's
picks itself, doesn't it?
Unless you put Connolly in there, but
okay. Defence done.
Now there's going to be some arguments.
Viewers, let us know who you want in midfield. Tim, you get the ball rolling. Is Sir Kenneth of Dougal reinstated?
Oh, no, he can't be.
I do think we should start.
No. We've got Patino, Carey, Dougal, Bowler, Fiorini injured, Stewart injured, Ward's gone, Bridcut's injured.
We've got Tribal as well, haven't we? As you saying?
Where's Tribal? Oh, he's classed as a defender.
Oh, right, okay. I think he might play him.
Who do you want to play, Tim? Who do you want to play? Keep telling you. It's our team.
Well, I think Sir Kenneth needs to come back in.
I think Tim's on drugs, so I'd go Tribal.
I want to see Tribal. I just want to see what he's like.
If he's not, then it's got to be. You've got to have a defensive midfielder in there.
When are you going to pick this Tribal? How is he going to get match fit if you don't pick him?
Yeah. He did. I mean, he's had development games and that. He could have played him, couldn't he?
Well, Tribal gets my vote and he gets Pete, so overruled Tim, I'm afraid.
Well, unless Kenny gets the other one.
Oh, okay. Right. What are our options in there then? We've got Carey, Dougal, Patino,
Connolly,
yeah.
Pervader.
Is Pervader fit, do we know?
I think so.
Because he said he was playing brilliantly, didn't he, in training?
Yeah. From what?
Oh, right.
I know. This is really difficult now.
Patino would work well. Rob's just said that.
So if you're going to play, if you're going to see, really, if you're going to play Pervader, really, you want the 3 and the 3, don't you?
Exactly.
You want 4-2-3-1, don't you?
You do.
Should we change it?
Or just
no, because I think Medina and Yates is a really good shout up top if we're going.
Well, it might be with Pervader behind them, but
exactly.
then three midfield, which would give a place for Kenny, of course,
or Patino or Carey.
Yeah, well, and or one of the others. But I think he'll play bowler. To be fair.
Well, Polar's going to be on the wing, isn't it? In a 4-4-2 like this, he's going to be on the wing.
Let's drop Bowler in then, shall we? Because we know we're having Bowler in there, aren't we?
On the right.
We've got Rodgers as well, don't forget.
I know.
Yeah, he had a good game, didn't he?
So we've got a fantastic 4-3-3 squad, haven't we?
Where's Bowler in my list? Where the fuck is he? He's there. Bowler. Who are we putting on the right?
Well,
Rodgers.
Bowler on the right.
I'll put Bowler on the right.
Okay. Who are we putting on the left? What about Pervader on the left?
Pervader or Rodgers?
I'd stick Rodgers. Tim?
I don't think he's going to play. I don't think he's going to play Bowler, Rodgers, and Pervader.
No, I don't think he is.
So.
And if he's saying Pervader's doing so well in training, then he's going to pick him, isn't he?
Pervader on the left, then.
Or unless you play, so you need 2 defensive midfielders if you're going to play him in the 10 role.
You do, yeah.
Well, he's not in the 10 role, is he?
No, but he could be in the 10
Or
role.
at least a defensive midfielder and someone like Patino.
Well, we've got Tribal, haven't we? Patino, then. Patino in with Tribal.
I don't see him playing Patino.
I don't know. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
God, Tim!
Yeah, but I don't want him to play
team.
either.
I keep telling you.
I know,
Get
but
the concept.
I'm also trying to keep it real in the. I want to think what Mick's going to do and what will be the best team.
He's going to play. Well, we got Pervader in there.
Pervader was putting shit out wide. MB's right.
I mean, with those 2 wide players and 2 up front, you could potentially play Kenny there, couldn't you?
Yeah. There's a case for that. Yeah.
Because he's better going forward than he is defensively anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Shout
for Rodgers on the left, then.
See, I think he'd
Well,
be unlucky.
Pervader,
He'd be a bit unlucky to get dropped, wouldn't he? But I think he's going to go for a solid centre midfield pairing, personally.
Dougal, then. Right, left. Who are we putting on this left side? Rodgers or Pervader?
I think Pervader's going to play.
He might. He might decide to play Pervader off Medine or off Yates, mightn't he?
Yeah.
I'd like to see Jerry and Pervader up front. To be honest.
Yeah, me too.
Plenty of bloody movement there, wouldn't there?
Be fantastic, wouldn't it? But I can't see him not picking Medine. Can you?
I would actually prefer to see Rodgers on the left, Pervader playing slightly off whoever's.
Right, we're going to have to change formation then, aren't we? Well, formation's changing.
Yeah, 4-2-3-1. That's better.
I think that.
Pervader and Kenny. Pervader and Kenny. Sorry,
What?
Tribal and Kenny. Tribal and Kenny.
Yeah.
Bowler on the right. Rodgers on the left. Pervader in the middle.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then I think that would be a really exciting team to watch, to be fair. And then you'd have to make your decision about Medina.
Oh, look at that 3. Look at that. With Pervader
That's
in
pretty
there.
exciting, isn't it?
Look at that.
Oh, it looks like we're going forward now. I'm almost through the screen.
Medine's dropped.
And I'd play Jerry up front.
Matt, are you watching?
Yeah. Oh, everybody, look at this. It's a thing of beauty.
I like that.
I'd love to watch that team play.
I would as well. Now. But I've got a feeling that Maxwell, Connolly and Medina will all be in that team. I hope not.
Oh, Matt's listening. Matt's there, look.
Is he?
He's just said you're all dead to me. Right, I'm going to put this out to Twitter.
On the bench, though?
Sorry?
Would you put Medina on the bench?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
All right, just checking.
No, but you got options, haven't you? You've got 5 subs to come on.
I've just put this on
Bring
Twitter
the oranges
now.
on at half time, couldn't he? Gary, if you're watching, I don't mean it. To be honest, that's a really good position to be in, though, isn't it?
And listen, he may say, he may say it's Medina up front if you're doing that. And to be fair, Pervader and Medina have worked quite well together, haven't they? When Pervader pushes up,
yeah,
that's what I'd go with.
Yeah, me too.
Plenty of fluid forward play.
You'd pay to go and watch that team. Grimshaw, Husband, Thornley, Goode, Lyons, Dougal, Tribal, Rodgers, Pervader in the 10, Bowler on the right, Rodgers on the left, and Jerry the number 9 playing in a 4-2-3-1.
I mean, even because I'm not a massive Kenny fan, I'd be just as happy to see Patino or Carey there, but I think you've got to have some defensive cover with that front 4.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, what else have we got to cover before we head off? Huddersfield, Big Mick's first game. Huddersfield postponement. Any shenanigans with that? What do we think?
There wasn't much frost in Polton Field come 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, was there?
I went
yeah,
on
there
the frost,
was.
I went on the frost down here, and it was horrific. It was horrific. So if it wasn't that frosty, then even whatever I said on the board on the AVFTT, which was sort of standing up for the decision, then it does smack of a.
Oh, you were getting all horticultural, weren't you? And
I was,
talking about permafrost.
I don't get a chance, Tim. I never get a chance to go on there, and then somebody said, "Oh, well, it was only about -1 last night," and I thought, well, that's not going to do it.
It was frozen, Tim. The ground was frozen. All our kids' games were off. It was rock hard. Cotton Hall was like an ice rink.
There you go.
But it did thaw. It did thaw at about 1 to 2, and you'd like to think with the heaters on.
There's a lot of shaded areas there that never get any sun now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but they've got covers, and I don't know what they still have, but we used to have heaters that you could blow underneath as well. So I don't know. I don't listen. I think it suited us. Mick had only just come in. It suited us for it not to be on. Now, I'm not saying there's shenanigans, but I don't think we probably did all that we could to get the game on. And I understand that. It's a massive, massive game. And he'd only come in on the Friday. He wasn't going to actually pick the team, was he?
No.
So I think it was the right. If we had any influence and we used that influence to make sure it didn't happen, then that's sensible. Albeit a bit frustrating on Saturday morning for those.
It was an early
call.
It was an early call, though, wasn't it? It wasn't like the Peterborough game, which was like done an hour before kickoff. At least it was an early call off 11.
Yeah, well, it is. But if people are travelling up from down south and whatever, and they're all, not that he gets a nosebleed when he comes north of the Watford Gap, but Pete there is, if he was travelling up, he would be setting off a lot earlier than 11 o'clock in the morning. An old Polton bus came back from Malaga,
especially for the game.
For the game, yeah. So there is lots of implications in relation to concessions, whatever.
Chris Heaney's just said a referee calls it off, not the club. He's right.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, if listen, I don't want to go too far because I'm not saying there's been any shenanigans, but if you don't want a game on, then you may not do things that you might otherwise try and do before the ref turns up. So, for instance, we had covers on. It's not like at Cotton Hall where there's no covers and therefore it's going to be frozen. If you've got covers on, they're meant to protect it. Is it to -4? Well, it didn't go below -4. Is the heaters you could have put on. But if you don't really want, all I'm saying is if you don't really want the game on anyway, you aren't going to go that extra mile to try and make it happen, are you? And I think if we, if what we did or didn't do influenced the decision anyway, then it's in the long term, it's probably good. But everybody was really well up for it, weren't they, on Saturday? And it was going to be a very good crowd. And now we're playing on a Tuesday night. And our record on night games is CAC. So
we'll never know, will we? Now,
no, we won't. We don't.
We could have, if we'd have lost, it would have been a right downer, wouldn't it? And what if there was? You only need 15% or 10% of the pitch to be absolutely rock hard. And it's not with I don't no disrespect to kids football. It's not like loads of kids playing football. It's multi-million-pound players. And if they go down and get a season-ending injury just because of that bit of ground, imagine if Josh went down and
it seems to be that southwest corner where the sun never hits it that causes the biggest problems.
Salty just said in the comments, the issue is the south roof. It should have been made of perspex so you can get the sun through.
I wonder why it wasn't. Answers on a postcard. To be fair, Nick, I've heard that before, that it should have been perspex. But then again, it can't be that expensive to change that, can it? you know, it's,
probably is. Every other team in the championship that were at home that day had undersoil heating. That's why their games were on. They lost loads of games off in the other divisions.
League 1 and League 2, yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Big Mick's first press conference. Who's seen it?
Yeah.
Mirror opposite to Mona Michael Appleton's. Plenty of positivity. Gets you fired up.
I've got to confess, I've not seen the one for this game yet. It's
Right.
on my radar, but
Goes on for too long to play it. It's over 5 minutes. So better not. Williams back to Liverpool. This is good news. One thing I remember reading on Twitter, I think the Preston purge continues. The Nobber purge continues.
I didn't mind him, to be honest with you.
Do you think this is a case of being sent back, or Liverpool have called him back, Pete?
My Liverpool mate was saying he was called back.
Yeah, I think he was called back. But if we're going to be taking on loans, they're talking about another loan player, aren't they? If we get another loan player, we've got to send some back. You know, Fiorini, is he? You know,
I like Mick's observations on it though. Did you? Which was when Williams is playing for Liverpool, the opposition only have 35% possession, and when he's playing for us, the opposition have 55% possession, and that's the reason he's gone back. Which was like damp praise indeed, that, isn't it? You know, it's like, obviously when we're under the cosh, he's not a player. You want playing with you. You want Mick will want, as a defender himself, he'll want people who's going to roll the sleeves up and get stuck in. And I don't think, to be fair, that's Reese's forte. And now, what I will say,
I thought he was all right, and I think he got some unfair stick. Really,
come on, Pete. Right. He was shite. Come on,
he got better.
No,
he got better. What I will say was, he
slow.
posted a very nice message about his time at Blackpool, which is more than can be said for certain people. And you know, I wish him luck. You know, he's got to find his way there. I don't think he's good enough to play for Liverpool on a regular basis.
No.
As interesting, and I'll put it in the patrons chat, that Preston fans are now moaning a bit about Woodburn. They're paying him 13 grand a week.
God,
they're not.
They are. Do you not see it when the LEP put all the Premier League salaries out, and Woodman, he's not on the most money. I think their biggest players on about 20 grand a week.
Okay, no.
But he's on 13 grand a week, and Tom was saying he's shit.
What were you like? I told you so.
I did.
No. I don't want to say I told you so, but
I did warn you, I think was the expression with a winky.
He was shite as well, wasn't he?
He was worse than that. He was awful.
I think all these Liverpool fans think these players that, like my mate says, I can't believe that Williams isn't the starter for you. We're bringing him back. I said he was down to about 5th choice with us. So I says, how's he even a choice for you if he's like 5th choice for us? And but it's the same with Woodburn. You know, he's asking how, you know, is he doing well? Well, and I was quite a fan of his when he first came, based on what I'd seen of him playing for Oxford. But I think he was the same at Oxford. He'll be the same at Preston. You get one half decent game out of him out of 10, and the rest of the time he's a passenger. And to be fair, Reece, I thought, had some good games, and he did get better, but I don't think he's good enough for us. If he's not good enough for us, he definitely isn't good enough for Liverpool.
Elbow asks, have Preston fixed their roof yet? Yeah, they wouldn't even get up there and whack a bit of Acropol on it to fix it. I fixed my flat roof with that. Well, they can't.
They're falling out with Ridsdale at the moment, aren't they? All of them, because it's quite amusing.
Maybe they need to write another strongly worded letter.
Well, Ridsdale's been banning them all, and then denying he's been doing it, hasn't he? Allegedly.
If you've done your shed roof, can't you go and do the roof at Bloomfield Road, John?
Well, it's not leaking, is it? What? Replace it with I think an industrial football stadium roof replacement is a tad more advanced than me going up on a ladder with a can of Acropol and a brush.
Oh, you know, you've always got YouTube.
from small acorns.
Where's his sense of adventure?
There's Peter. Peter Dearden with a very sensible suggestion. Just put the other soul eating in the corner where the problem is.
Exactly. Brilliant. Why not?
I love that pragmatism. Love it.
Right. Brilliant.
Charlie Goode. Tim, Charlie Goode. Signed on loan from Brentford. Few games for Sheffield United in the Premier League. Very well thought of in Southampton. I know it's not a high bar. What was that thing you said? A high watermark or something? Yeah. What was the saying?
Maybe the high watermark.
But he looks an absolute unit, doesn't he? 6'5".
But the thing is, you know what the high watermark is? Like obviously when the river's that's the highest point, so it's the best. Yeah. So you know I listened to his interview. His little VT.
Sean interviewed him. I don't know if you noticed. It was Sean doing the interview again, and he said, "I'm not really a footballer, like a ball playing centre half. I'm an proper old school centre half."
I know.
I bet Sean was grinding his teeth again. I was loving that. Loving it.
Yeah. I think, Sean's nirvana of all these ticky-tappy footballers all over the pitch is going up in smoke, isn't it? In tangerine smoke in front of his eyes. We're going to be the hardest team in the league and bully our way to survival.
Not with the team we picked today.
Well,
I know, yeah. Sean will love that. He'll love that team, wouldn't he?
Yeah. See, Sean, we're not dinosaurs. We do.
Hopefully we'll have a word with Mick and say, these boys know what they're talking about. This is what you should be doing.
Get him on the coaching staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he sounds like a big unit. Mick McCarthy likes him in his interview, so I think it's a good signing, isn't it?
I think it's a pragmatic signing, isn't it? It's what we need. We've lost Ekpiteta seemingly for probably at least another 5 to 6, 7 weeks, whatever it's going to be. I think they said 6 to 8 when he first had his injury. And we probably have missed that commanding centre half. You know, to what Jordan goes about his work quietly and efficiently, but he's not somebody who's going to dominate the penalty area. Who's going to dominate the centre forward. He's just, he's going to go about his job quietly, and that's fine. But I think we need a unit in there. We need a personality in there. We need a presence in there, and hopefully, Charlie Goode.
He says he's a leader, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which is what we've been lacking since Keogh left.
Yeah.
As Elbow said, Charlie Goode is 100% having a chant. I think it means chant to the tune of Ebenezer Goode by the Shaman.
Absolutely.
He's a good. Right, finally, last bit of news before we head off. This is going to cause a bit of unrest amongst the fan base with the Report It app, which the club has been plugging. Not seen this, it is an app that you download and basically allows you to grass up on a fellow fan if you don't like the way they're behaving in the stadium. If you see or hear something that concerns you related to another person's behaviour or suspected behaviour at Bloomfield Road, use the app to report it directly to the club's safeguarding and welfare staff. And at this bit, which I didn't like, you may also upload photos or videos or take live video through the app. Now, this doesn't sit well with me at all. So, if you don't like someone's behaviour, I mean, that's all very subjective, isn't it?
To be fair, I've been a bit busy at work this week, and this one has passed me by up to now, but I find that I do... I find that quite disturbing, to be honest. I think it's a license for certain people, and we all know the type of people that I'm thinking about. to become a right real pain in the backside. So I think it could be a bit of an OG, that one, personally.
Yeah.
And I also don't like this Big Brother thing where people. I mean, the police CCTV is that good these days. So anybody who's like chucking pyrotechnics or getting out of hand, the police pick up on them anyway. And I don't think we need Blackpool fans turning on Blackpool fans.
Who on earth thought this was a good idea at the club? I mean, it's very divisive.
Mm.
No idea. It's horrible, isn't it?
Grassing on your own fans.
It's really bad. You're going to have a word yourself, and you're not going to be on your own, are you? You know, you just say something if you're there.
As Lee Goods just said, that's the North empty in a month. Well, imagine you're at the game and some twat's there filming you.
I know.
Yeah.
Someone does that to you in the North. How do you think that's going to?
He's going to end up at the Vic having his bloody mobile phone extracted from a deep and dark place, isn't he?
What you've also got to bear in mind is, and you see this on all these YouTube things, don't you? You see they get all these guys who like try and entrap the police and or they hang around places and then start videoing and getting people's backs up. Video doesn't always have context, so if you're going to video the bit you want to video, you're not necessarily showing the whole context of what's gone on and what might led to the build-up. So you can get a very distorted view as to what's happened based upon taking a snippet out of context. And I can't believe how bad an idea it is. Actually, the more I think about it, and I just think of certain people who I could, and I think, God, they're going to misuse that.
Mushroom Revenge, I love that, and that one that's on there now as well. Something that the Oystons would have done. It is both of those. Exactly that. That's a backward step. Massive own goal. That.
I'm not aware of any other clubs doing stuff like that, but presumably must have got the idea from somewhere.
Who on earth thought this would be a good idea?
It's obviously the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
I think we need answers to.
Are we gonna have people videoing you because you stood up? Or
who the fuck has signed off on this?
You're gonna have people saying because you're swearing in the ground.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Or,
there'll only be about 4 people in there.
God forbid somebody's had a sneaky fag that they shouldn't have had, or vaping. You're not allowed to vape, are you? Somebody collars you for vaping and tries to get you banned from the ground.
Club, they need to look at this and can it?
But the bloody stewards and police it. You don't need,
exactly.
If it's something horrendous, something really horrendous, then it will self-police itself anyway. But that's just bullshit.
Yeah. Just looking through these comments now. Pretty funny. George Oyston has already downloaded it. He's reported 10,000 already. Yeah, it's double standards. They want to go on about the special atmosphere and then introduce this. Yeah, that's a great point, Lee. I think we need to bring this up the SLO. Right, so yeah, that's it for the show. Anything else, gents, just before we head off?
We're going to
sign about 5 in the morning if you change your mind, John.
5 in the morning. Well, if there's another widespread frost across the Fylde coast, I may very well join you.
I think it's positively balmy, isn't it, on Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, no wind. We're going to sign anyone in the 5 days.
What do we need? We need another. What do we need? Do we need another centre?
We've got so many loans. We're going to need about 20 players come August.
Brannigan's looking to move now, isn't he? So maybe we'll go back in for him again.
Right off.
I wonder if his fish pond froze over. Maybe that's why he wants to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants a heating system for his fish pond as a part of his next contract. We're not really the club to ask for that kind of thing, are we? Right, I think we'll call it a day there. Ray Gregson, thanks. Great pod to you at Southampton. Yep, I think you'll probably see Tim there, Ray. Probably not me.
I'm in Norfolk.
How are you? I thought you might go, Pete. 'Cause it's quite near to you, isn't it?
I would have done, but I've had this book for ages. So the dogs and the missus for a week.
Oh well, right. Usual YouTube gubbins. Do like and subscribe to the video if you've liked it. The notification bell. All that remains to be said is thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading. And up the pool. Here we come. Fifth round.
Up the pool.